Hello, everyone, and welcome in. My name is Bryce Koon alongside Matthew Brune, and it's just it's your casual Sunday as we get ready to talk a little bit about some big news happening here in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe. Thanks for hopping in the chat live. Chat's already continuing to grow. We appreciate you watching live. If you're listening after the fact, continue to do that as well. Brune, happy Sunday evening, man. I mean,
How you
what is there to
feeling?
talk about?
You feeling good?
I got a head cold. I probably sound like a prepubescent 11-year-old boy that is going to have his voice crack at some point during this. But or I've got a nice baritone voice for you right
Yeah, there you go.
man, Lane Kiffin is an LSU Tiger. He is the LSU head coach. He is currently on campus as we speak. First off, shout out to Brune and Shay. Continue to knock it out of the park on the coverage today. Brune picking up essentially everything there is to know from the time that Lane has gotten on the plane in Oxford to Baton Rouge. Shay giving us tidbits and everything of what's happening inside those walls at Football Ops here tonight. So make sure you head over to the Bengal Tiger, get that subscription. A fantastic time. And it's not just a $1 a week. We've got a 50% off extended Black Friday sale rolling into Cyber Monday. We'll have another deal. But right now, if you're watching live, head over to the Bengal Tiger, 50% off an annual subscription. Brune can't lie, not a better time. With signing day right around the corner,
No.
portal, like this is as if you're going to sell somebody on something, this is the time to do it.
We talk about the best times to subscribe to the Bengal Tiger on 3, and it's always a great time. But I don't know if there's a better time you'll find this decade than right now. First of all, if you haven't subscribed already, you've missed out on the mega thread that has gone on since November 2nd that has 5+ million views on it and hundreds of thousands of replies and everything you could want from it. So you missed out on that, but that's okay. Join in now, get everything Lane Kiffin, get everything. We have it all on the site. So go check it out over there.
So we're going to talk in depth, maybe around, we'll shoot for less than an hour, but just to kind of recap.
We're going to be less than an hour.
Yeah, we're going less than an hour because I got a date with some NyQuil.
I was going to say, Bryce is going to pass out before an hour.
I'm gonna pass out. Had to, just a long weekend, but it was a good one. It's actually funny for people that don't know. I was at a game last night that really determined what would have happened today. That's actually what's kind of crazy.
Potentially. The whole thing. We're watching the game. So I'm watching the game. I have the board up. And the Iron Bowl is the game we're talking about for those who don't know. Watching the game, and the whole time, everyone's rooting for Alabama to win, right? The LSU fans on our board rooting for Alabama to win, so that way Alabama makes the SEC championship game and Ole Miss doesn't. And then about like third quarter or so, I don't remember who it was. I don't want to say this wrong. I don't know if it was Nakos or who, but people started coming in like, yeah, because the meeting with Lane ended at the house, at the chancellor's house and everything, and apparently it went off the rails. And so then it was like, well, this doesn't even matter anymore. And then everyone flipped. It was like, all right, War Damn Eagle beat Alabama because they're like, screw it, whatever. They couldn't do it for a whole game. But yes, you were at that game.
Yeah, that was nuts. That was crazy. Future portal target Cam Coleman with a big fumble.
They threw that game away 10 times.
Andy Alexander with a $4.99 donation. We appreciate you there, Andy. Lane bringing Winnedad and Lacey with him. We're going to be talking about
Let's talk about it, yeah.
Yeah, we'll be talking about that, so we appreciate you. What's up, Leslie? Thanks for tuning in tonight. I will say this, Brune, about the it was weird to be in a place last night that was so much bigger than just that game. That's a massive game. Like having grown up 30 minutes from Auburn, that is one of the pinnacle rivalries of college football, regardless of how good those teams are. But to understand like what was going on, it's obviously crazy. So let's start here. Let's take it back to Saturday in the meeting. So you're covering the LSU Oklahoma game. Obviously, we kind of understand.
Covering's a strong word.
Reporting a lot of different people. Yeah. By the way, like, are we going to say anything about the game? Like,
no. I already tweeted. Okay. I said we're flushing that. We're never talking about it again. Because honestly,
never have any game recap coverage.
No. That game actually kind of frustrated me, and I didn't think it would.
Okay with that, to be honest.
I didn't think it would annoy me, because going into it there were no expectations. But watching that game again just completely annoyed me because Oklahoma had no business winning that game, and Oklahoma in the playoffs is kind of crazy now that we think about it. And I wrote about it before the game. I was like, let's see Oklahoma win a game where they don't win the turnover battle like 3-1 or something like that. And LSU turned them over, and they still couldn't do anything. Disgusting. All right, that's all I got to say.
Yeah, we don't talk about it. We've already said too much.
Terrible.
The only thing we're going to mention in the game is obviously this meeting takes place at the Chancellor's house, and pictures are starting to come out. And I guess, Brune, the best way to describe this is essentially how we got here. And Brune did a great timeline from the time that Brian Kelly was fired to now, and I'm sure you included this in here as well. But just on Saturday afternoon and evening, as reports start leaking out that, hey, this meeting didn't go well, and they met for a long time, and it started to become very evident. And I wanted to spend some time on this because I wanted our thoughts, because I feel like a lot of the Ole Miss media has their thoughts. Haven't seen a lot of thoughts from the LSU side of things about this push to coach in a playoff game. Now, obviously, Lane was really pushing to coach in an SEC title game. I think LSU, and I would just say this, is probably a little lucky that Ole Miss didn't go to the SEC title game, because it really could have gotten even uglier. Like, maybe not for LSU, but it would have, to me, it would have just been really messy, because how do you tell the coach he's not coaching in the SEC title game? Maybe Keith Carter stands on business and says the same thing he says today. What were your thoughts Saturday with that meeting happening and everything? I mean, where's your level of confidence waning? Were you like, hey, this is no longer about, because we started to get reports. It's not a fact. It's not a conversation about him coming to LSU. It's more of when.
Yes, it became a when, not if conversation. And it was interesting because obviously, again, we ran the message board, and it's all of the thousands of fans that are on the board. And it's just like waiting for that singular moment of like, boom, like it's happening. Awesome. And it started just to trickle out slowly. And then Dellinger put out like it's, I don't know how it was phrased, but essentially like it's a win, not if thing. And now the only holdup is he going to coach Ole Miss in the SEC championship game and the playoffs?
Yeah.
And so then people were like, so it happened. Like, what do we do? What do we do? And essentially, yes, it was done at that point. Like Lane Kiffin basically said, like, I'm going, but I want to finish the year out with this team. And so everybody understood what the situation was at that point. And honestly, you know, being on our board and reports and, you know, various things, to me, I think this had been done, at least in Lane's head, for a couple of days at this point. You know, as a whole, it's a whole different discussion of like how long I think he's known this. But regardless, I think he's wanted to keep everything status quo because he hoped that he could coach this team throughout the rest of the season. Ultimately, I never viewed it as realistic that he was going to coach his team in the playoffs. Yeah. Personally, I just did not see how. And you know, you can be mad at Keith Carter or whoever else, and I think Keith Carter and them definitely didn't do this the best way. But I don't see how you let him coach in the playoffs. So coach this team for potentially another month while he is also building a staff at LSU and, you know, putting in, like, no matter how you phrase it, he's putting in the groundwork at LSU to beat you next year. Like,
yeah, he's recruiting against you. Yeah.
Yes. And so even if we take out like the whole player thing where he's like, you know, potentially taking players from you, like the groundwork is being placed at LSU. The SEC title game would have been different to me. It would have been interesting to see how they approached it. I still don't think Keith Carter would have let him coach the SEC championship game. Maybe I'm wrong, but it would have been very, very interesting at that point. So that's where the disagreement, that's where the butting heads happened. For all we know, Lane flipped a table or something in there. I don't know what happened, but I'm just saying that's where the conflict was. And I think I understand it from both sides. It's really hard, but Lane, I think to a degree, is trying to have his cake and eat it too. And ultimately, you're moving on to LSU for a reason. And you're going to be, hopefully, in this situation many, many more times. So you just kind of got to bite the bullet and go to LSU.
I want to say this, and I don't want to dive into it because I don't want to give more. I'm going to make a comment. Okay, Brune, you don't have to say anything because I guess, maybe you're more concerned with HR than I am.
Okay.
But I don't want to give any more life to this than it is. But I will say this. I don't believe that Lane Kiffin was really trolling. I do believe this was a tough decision. Like I 110% believe that. And I feel like a lot has been made out. Now the Ole Miss fan base hates him. It's one thing to hate him because he leaves. Okay, fine. You know what? Fine. That's the rivalry. Yeah. This LSU Ole Miss rivalry, I think, just took an entirely big step up, like in terms of what we're talking about with LSU's rivals. I do believe this is a tough decision. And to your point, I think that he wanted to finish out the year with this group. I think he cares about that group. But I think that he genuinely also believes that LSU is the better opportunity for him. Now, whether that turns out to be right or wrong, whether he never wins a title at LSU, look, that's
the
all part of the
result. Yeah, the
projection,
result
and
does
that's all
not
part of
impact the
what you're doing.
process.
Yeah, it's all part of that. Talking to I think you just wrote about this, and I watched the whole clip with Marty Smith. I mean, essentially, he talked and he cited the part with Pete Carroll about. He's like, I think your dad would tell you to go take the chance, like take that opportunity. So this is not me saying that Ole Miss screwed up. I do think that, and I said this multiple times on our show, Ole Miss better know what they're doing. Like, they better have a plan. And now we see, right? Because John Summerall's at Florida, Alex Golish is at Auburn. Other coaches have re-signed extensions or signed extensions. Yeah. Silverfield's at Arkansas now. One party between the trio of Florida, LSU, and Ole Miss is going to be left holding a bag of money. And right now it's Ole Miss. Now, I will say this. If they feel good about what they did today in terms of making their internal moves to elevate, that's good for them. Maybe they feel like it's the best move. Maybe that's what they were going to do all along. I don't know, but I will say this. Keith Carter was in a tough spot. Like, I will give Ole Miss fans that. This was not an easy decision. And so I think we could look back in 3 to 5 years and say, you know what? It was best for all parties. Yeah, Lane wanted to stay, but he shouldn't have. I don't think you should have allowed it. And Keith Carter with Pete Golding, I don't know what Pete Golding's going to do there. I'm not, I don't know the intricacies of their program like that, but I think this can work for both parties. Is that crazy to say?
No,
I think it can.
Yeah, the only thing I'll say on the Ole Miss side of things is I think this was the prudent thing to do because Ole Miss is in the playoffs. If Ole Miss was not in the playoffs, I would be like, all right, go, throw everything you have at Brent Key or throw, whoever you want to name here. But because you're in the playoffs, I think, and there were reports that came out in terms of the players, unifying or galvanizing around Golding and this staff, because Ole Miss was like, all right, we don't have Lane. We're going to promote Golden. We're going to try our best to keep as many of these staff members as we can, and we're going to make a push in the playoffs because this is the best season they've ever had, and this will probably be the best season that they have in our lifetimes. If maybe let's just say a couple decades. You have to throw it all in.
Get clipped for saying
I know, probably, but you have to go all in right here. And I think they did the right thing, promoting Golding, trying to keep the staff together, go make a push in the playoffs, go try to win a few games, go make a national championship game. I don't know if they will or not, but I think them being in the playoffs changes that from their perspective.
Yeah, I think just to kind of close the chapter on this, I don't think Ole Miss made a bad move here. I think that they did the best possible because now knowing what we know, and it's pretty obvious, like you said, Lane wanted to go to LSU. Yes. Like he wanted to do that. Knowing that, for me, it's like, what was Ole Miss going to do? Like, you couldn't let him string you along another week. You couldn't do that. That's not fair to the players. It's not fair to the staff that's got to prep for games. Like, that's not fair. So I think both parties can be better off for this. It's obviously, and I
actually think this is best case for both teams.
Yeah, we both reports like the relationships, the bridges were severed. There were some ties that were severed with how this has gone down. And I think it's obvious, especially when they put his clothes out in the parking lot. So all that to say is, I said I was going to say something. I think a lot of the drama that has surrounded this is I'm just going to say this, and I don't care if it gets clipped. I think it's a little bit ridiculous that it's been fabricated or not fabricated, but formulated by some of the Ole Miss side of the media things. That's where I'll stop with that comment because we'll stop there. But that to me is one of those things where it's like, there were obviously some tension, and I don't blame Lane. I'll say that. Okay, so Saturday night you're rolling into this.
You want to jump to an ad read before we do this? We got to pump out a couple of them here.
Oh yeah. Well, I got us right here.
You got us?
Hear from our friend.
No. Are you an LSU fan looking to get the best prices on tickets, no matter where you're going, whether it's an LSU football game, Saints game, Pelicans game, maybe a concert venue? Well, look no further than Game Time, our sponsor for this podcast. Game Time is a reliable ticketing partner, and honestly just shows everything you need on its website, on the app. The ticket prices you see are what you get because they include fees, whether you're going to an LSU football game, whether you're going to a music concert or anything in between. Game Time is your place to get those tickets, and use code ON3, that's ON3, to get $20 off your first purchase. And that's the case whether you're doing it on the mobile phone or on the computer. You can customize your spot. They give you a view of what your seat would look like. Everything you need is on the Game Time app. So thank you to Game Time for sponsoring this podcast. Check out Game Time. Thank you to them for sponsoring this podcast. Again, code ON3, that's ON3, the number 3, for $20 off your first purchase.
Have you seen the video, by the way? You love that.
Of what?
Get ready, because we're playing the BetMGM one here in a little bit.
I don't even remember what I did in that one. Oh, God. Hope that's better.
So this is Lane Kiffin, by the way. You can go check out on Twitter. Our boy All Things Go, which has been just the hero.
Is he at the airport?
No, he's at the facility. Lane Kiffin comes out on the balcony with Austin Thomas and starts cheering along with some of the fans that have lined up outside of football ops, essentially saying that Austin Thomas is not going anywhere.
Unbelievable. Where is this? Send this to me. Send this to me somewhere.
Okay, I got you.
Because, good Lord, that is incredible. Lane, I don't think people understand what Lane is like. I don't think people understand what's about to happen here. And I wanted to say,
tell them. So let's get to that part.
Do you want to do this part now?
Well, I wanted to say this. So Saturday night happens, Sunday happens, the meeting over there. Obviously, I'll say this. I thought it was very interesting. I will parlay this, that Lane told Marty Smith that Keith Carter told him he couldn't be a part of the meeting. Did you find that interesting? Because it seemed like a lot of Ole Miss fans were kind of like, oh, no, Lane's a snake, and we can't let him be a part of this. And Lane says, no, Keith pretty much told me, and I respect it. This is what he said. I respect it. He told me that I wasn't going to be a part of that. Did you find that interesting or anything on that?
In terms of him not being able to talk to the players in the meeting?
Yeah, I mean, no, because like I'm saying, for example, Caleb Odom, the wide receiver, comes out and says, I don't know if you saw this. Some Ole Miss players come out and said essentially like, oh, he didn't even show his face to us. And then Lane gets on. Yeah,
Lane said that
he didn't want him
to. I mean, it's probably. I mean,
that's
maybe
it is. Man.
It is. It is hard. It is hard. I mean, I feel like he should have been able to say goodbye to them, but at the same time, it is tough. And then also, it might have been a tactic from them to try to galvanize the team again. Be like, see, he didn't even come say goodbye. Let's go win the championship without him. It's all just a mess. It's all just a mess.
To close the chapter on them hiring in this whole process, shout out Verge Osbury. Good God.
Shout out to Verge.
I mean, going up there, sending the 2 planes, Ole Miss fans giving them hell up there at the airport in Oxford. I mean, it's why college football is way better than the NFL. So there's that. To kind of close the chapter on.
I just saw the video on Lane.
That's
and
insane.
Austin Thomas. That is incredible.
Well, so what now? Like, what should LSU fans expect?
So look,
who is Lane Kiffin?
I want to start with this. It's an inside joke. I want to start with this before we go to a kind of looking ahead part thing. Why did he take this job? And we've talked a lot about, or we've heard a lot about, you're coaching Ole Miss. You've gotten to this point in the playoffs. Like you are clearly a top 10 team in the country. Like you're going to be in position to, do all this stuff there. And so why would you leave? I think for a lot of people, that is an actual conversation. The thing that I keep going back to, and I think this actually helps us move forward here, is I go back to the Lane Kiffin press conference the week Ole Miss was going to play Alabama. Or I'm sorry, Ole Miss was going to play LSU. And he just came out and constantly, the whole press conference was like, yeah, they bought their whole defense. Like, it's an elite defense. They went out and they bought a bunch of players, and they're really good. And people, LSU side was like, oh, damn, why did he say that? All that stuff, whatever. They sounded like upset. I was in that thread saying, no, this is a massive, compliment. This is jealousy. That's what it was. And so when as soon as I knew that he had any interest, as soon as reports came out that there was any interest or mutual, talking between the two, or that LSU was going to pursue him, I always, in my head, went back to that and said, he's going to be interested in this job. Will he take it again? Maybe Ole Miss goes 12-0 or something. I don't know, but he is going to be interested in this job. And I kept going back to that because he looked at that and said, well, hell, if I have this money, if I have that money, I can go buy a defense. I can go buy an offensive line, and I'm going to have more talent. Again, because on paper, LSU going into the year, he even would have told you himself had more talent on paper than Ole Miss. Yeah. Like in his head and in my head and a lot of people's head, you look at what LSU did with Brian Kelly as the head coach. And if you're Lane Kiffin, you're like, oh, I can go there and I am going to win. It's not even a question in your head anymore. It's not even like, oh.
I think it's because he thinks he's a better coach. Yes. Because all coaches think that, right? Oh, I'm better than that. So when he looked at that, he's like, well, I'm way more of an offensive guy. Like
Ed Orgeron?
Do that. If you
Les
gave me
Miles,
that team.
Like, look at the coaches that have won, which goes back to our, the whole Brian Kelly thing where we're like, oh, well, Brian Kelly's definitely going to win. Look at Orgeron and whatnot. Like, no, this is a different level. If Lane Kiffin, which we know, I don't want to pigeonhole myself here, he's going to work, right? Like at this point in his career.
Now, to what level is the question?
He's 50 years old. He's going to put the work in. It seems like he has everything, like from the FAU to Ole Miss. I was at North Texas when he was at FAU. I'm here at LSU when he was at Ole Miss. Like, this is a guy who has consistently over the past 7 years shown you what he's about, and he has shown you that he is a winner here, and he is going to put the work in. I have no reason to believe in his head that he's not brimming with confidence. And honestly, now that he's here, I think back to that press conference and say, yeah, I mean, he's probably going to tell us in the fall, he's going to be like, yeah, we just went and bought a new defense, and they're really, really good, and we paid them. Like, he's probably going to tell us that in 3 months, in like 5 months. And he's going to be like, yeah, we just bought a whole new team and we're really good because we can spend money and stuff like that. Like, he's just very blunt about it. And it helped me at least paint a picture of what he is and what he wants out of this.
I want to give Brune some credit. When we were driving from our hotel in Northeast Georgia to the Clemson game, he and I just had some hypothetical conversations. And one of those was like, hey, if Brian Kelly loses this game against Clemson, who are you going to go get? Because it's going to start a season that just is going to be bad. Yeah. Now, obviously, that didn't happen. It happened in a reverse way. And Brune, you said Kiffin. Like you said right then and there, that's who I'm going to get. I was like, okay, all right. No, to your point, in terms of what LSU has in Lane Kiffin, and I'm working on a piece, the Lane Kiffin, the recruiter. Like, what does that look like? And talking with some people who have either been recruited by him before or they've worked alongside him in the recruiting departments. I think you're getting a guy, and I wrote about this today, Brune. Like, yeah, is he maybe awkward? Yeah, sure, he is. Mm-hmm. I think this guy, and I talked about this when this job opened up, you need a guy who eats, breathes, and sleeps football. This guy is a football junkie. Now, he is not the meathead of a guy like I was watching on Friday night in Brent Key, right? He's not a Jeff Brom or somebody, but he is very. You and I complimented him so much of what he did.
I've been so high on Ole Miss.
He set stuff up and
constantly.
He sequences plays.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just going to tell you this. I don't know if LSU's ever going to win a national championship with him. I'm not going to sit on the show and guarantee it. I will tell you, next fall, LSU fans will enjoy watching this offense and how they attack defenses. Baseline, you will enjoy that. I think the LSU, and you mentioned this in terms of his mentality, you're just getting a guy that loves football. And he loves the game. He studies the game. He's a nerd when it comes to football. Like, he loves all of this stuff. And you needed that. You needed that injection of just this passion for this. And we talk about fit. We talk about some stuff like that. Like, if you love ball, you're going to work at LSU. Like, that's I don't care about where you're from. I don't care about anything kind of stuff. If you love football and you care and you're passionate, and I'll say this too, to your point. Yes, I think Lane Kiffin is cocky. I think that he thinks he's the smartest guy in the room. I want that paired with a guy who's going to work for it. That's the difference in Lane Kiffin with what you had here previously. He is willing to do that. And he thinks that, and he's going to pretty much say, all right, I'll show you. I think this is what this job is. A lot of people, Brune, and you and I are not from Louisiana, but a lot of people said, you need a guy that just loves Louisiana and all that kind of stuff. I can't speak to if Lane Kiffin is enthralled with the idea of Thibodaux, Louisiana. I couldn't tell you that. But what I can tell you is I think that he loves winning, and he has to win. I wrote that today. Like, he has to win. That is a must for him. I think this is going to work. To what level? I don't know. That'd be stupid for us to pigeonhole ourselves into LSU's going to win 4 out of the next 10 natties. Like, that would be stupid. But to me, you just brought in a guy who immediately gives you a legitimacy on the offensive side of the football, an identity, and he just gives you this factor of like, if you're not with me, then you don't need to be here. Like, if you're not bought in on this goal, you need to be here. And that's going to rub a lot of people the wrong way. And Lane Kiffin rubs a lot of people the wrong way. I understand that. But if your goal is to win championships, I think this was the de facto best hire you could have made in this cycle when LSU went and got their number one guy.
By far. Like, this was the home run swing. They connected on it. They hit a home run. The excitement is just through the roof right now from this fan base. I'm still kind of in shock that they pulled this off. Like,
oh yeah,
full stop. I mean, the fact they went into this, and a couple weeks ago, I still believed maybe they were in the lead for Lane Kiffin, but ultimately it was still a decision if he was going to leave or stay. Then Florida gets in the mix and stuff. I was just waiting on something to go. I don't want to say go wrong, but then him be like, I can't leave.
Cautiously optimistic.
Yeah, it's like I can't leave this Ole Miss team or something like, or I don't know, something with Florida with his family or something. Regardless, like I was waiting on something to go wrong. But like you said, credit to Verge Osbury, credit to the committee, credit to the university, everybody that made it possible to fire Brian Kelly a month ago, figure out the buyout situation, and then end up, firing him without cause to where you're paying him the money. Cool. And then turning around and going to get Lane Kiffin. Like, it would have been very easy for the entire school and the university and everybody to just be like, well, we got to pay, Brian this, and we're coming off of a year. We just spent the X on this team. So let's just try to get through the next couple years. Like, we heard that a lot. Like, we heard it like, oh, well, go get Nick Saban for 2 years, or go get somebody as a stopgap of sorts.
Yeah.
To do this, and I said this when Brian Kelly first got fired. I was like, no, this is LSU, and everyone was like, oh, well, why would X leave, whatever school and such, so on and so forth? Because this is LSU. And they have completely vindicated that statement. They've vindicated everything that you thought LSU was. Any debate of LSU being a top 3, top 5 job in the country is shut down. This is absolutely a complete power play. And like you said, I mean, just a complete statement.
Yeah, I saw a lot of comments on social media today about how LSU should be worried about what they just did and all this kind of stuff. And look, I mean, there's always risk involved in everything.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, like, look, I'll be the first one to say it. Like, I'm not going into my first press conference with Lane Kiffin tomorrow going to give him ammo against me. But, like, I mean, yeah, like, the second that the Alabama job comes open, that will worry people. Because it's just the normal thing, right? Like, it's the normal thing. But just in the what you just said, this validates, because Brune, I don't know if you remember this. Maybe I need to go find this clip and I need to post this. We sat on the field at Ole Miss and did our post-game reaction. And I looked at you and I said, when we talked about Ole Miss versus LSU, and I said, are you really that anymore? Because Brian Kelly's never won here in Oxford. And really, they've had, in terms of the roster, probably a better team every single year until this year, like on paper. Like even in the early years, last year, they definitely had the better team on paper, like with what they had. So all of that to, go to what we're talking about here is, I think the biggest thing for me is you reestablish yourself as a force. Now, look, does that mean they're going to win 11 games and make the semifinals next year? No, it doesn't guarantee anything. But it does guarantee that, and I say this all the time, Brune, because I know you talk about some Group of 5 stuff. I obviously talk like some ACC sometimes. This is the difference between the SEC, and this is the difference between the big brands and everybody else.
Yeah.
Even when it doesn't work out, like you said, they're willing to go pay $54 million, get rid of their head coach, and bring in the best option for their program. And it shows a serious level of Verge Osbury. The shout out to Osbury and what they were able to do. That committee you mentioned. I mean, I think a lot of people were burnt early because of some of the Governor Landry's comments about, oh, we're not going to do this type of thing. Well, they're going to pay the guy, $12 million, $13 million a year. And while they're still buying Brian Kelly, like, this is what real football programs do. And LSU was always that. I didn't lose faith, but I sat there in, was it late September 27th, and said, prove it to me. Because right now with what you're Ole Miss is right there with you. If they haven't passed you in what they're doing, And LSU answered the bell and took their coach. Like you mentioned before the season, like that's what you do. That's what you do if you're LSU.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't have anything else to add in terms of Lane.
If you don't have anything else, my friend, we get to watch this.
I don't know how this is gonna go. Oh Jesus!
Friends over at BetMGM.
This podcast is sponsored by BetMGM, the betting partner of On3. They have another new promotion going on, odds boost token for college football throughout the year. Definitely get on there. I don't know if y'all have been watching the podcasts, whether it's Shay, whether it's Bryce, whether it's myself. We always have our best bets. We talk about them on the podcast. We also write about them on the Bengal Tiger On3. You can check those out. When you get on the app, you can just look. They always have promos, whether it's a boost, a profit boost, a same game parlay boost, anything like that. So you can always get those deals. And if you are a new player, they have an offer of up to $1,500 to get paid back in bonus bets if you don't win. So go check them out. BetMGM, the official partner of On3 and the Bengal Tiger On3. That's where I get all my final lines. That's where I get all of my betting picks from. So check us out and check out BetMGM. We really appreciate them for sponsoring this podcast, and we will continue to utilize them throughout the year, and they will continue to sponsor this podcast here.
Did you hit on final lines this week?
I just want to say, yes, I did. LSU plus 11.5. I mean, that's the greatest year of my life. Betting wise, I can't. 11-1
regular season record.
11-1.
What was the one you lost?
That's what I'm trying to think. Was it Ole Miss? It was the Ole.
Coach, so you don't
No. Wrong. Vanderbilt team total under like 27.5 or something like that, and they ended up scoring whatever it was, 30 something.
I don't know.
Yeah. So that was the one. I didn't think they would do that to them, but they did.
So we've talked about essentially how we got here. We've talked about, obviously, the impact of initially what we think about the hire. But let's talk about what's next, because obviously this stuff is literally unfolding as we are talking live on this show. Lane Kiffin makes his way to Football Ops. He's already spoken. He's speaking with Frank Wilson. Shout out Michael Cobble, getting some really, really awesome photos. I'm not being facetious.
No, for sure.
Get mad at me, but
I'm
serious. Got some great photos. He's talking with Frank Wilson. It did seem that Shay has disputed the fact that was Austin Thomas in that video.
Yes.
I'll go 22. It's okay. Don't worry about it. You'll get him next time.
Still a great video. Whoever he was pointing to.
Still a great video. He's celebrating something in somebody. So
hope it's Blake
one
Baker.
Of those things. What did you say?
I said I hope it's Blake Baker.
Blake Baker was waiting outside. Well, let's just start there.
Okay.
So Lane's bringing. Let's start with what's happening first. Lane's bringing Charlie Weiss Jr. with him, which is awesome. I love that.
Absolutely love that. He was with him at FAU for 2 years. Then when Lane took the Ole Miss job, he was the OC at USF for 2 years, and then he rejoined Lane in 2022 and has been with him ever since.
Yes. Bringing in McDonald as his wide receivers coach. We'll see kind of what happens with Cortez Hankton. I guess, what do you think about who he brought in? Let's start there. You mentioned that right there. I mean, I love when an offensive guy brings in his guys, because it tells me we're going to have a seamless transition. We're going to get everybody on board. There's not going to be a miscommunication about how we're going to do things. And Charlie Weiss Jr. is obviously his right-hand man with what he wants to do offensively.
Yeah, I mean, what you get from Lane is going to be Lane's offense. Obviously, the pace and everything like that. But I think Charlie Weiss, and especially as the quarterback's coach, you look at what he has done, obviously with Jackson Dart, Trinidad Chambliss now. I think you look at how he understands what Lane wants. And I think that's the biggest thing is Charlie Weiss has been able to simplify the game even more and take the concepts of what Lane wants to do and execute them, especially from a pass game perspective. So I think that's the biggest thing we've seen. I don't want to bash, the previous staff or anything like that, but I just look at, what Sloan did and the kind of the limitations at times, I think, in terms of the development. And again, Jayden Daniels had a good year, cool, but and I say good year, he won the Heisman that year, so he was amazing. But I think there were at times the past 2 years with Nuss specifically where you see it he has the talent, and there's times where it's not made as easy for him. No matter who the quarterback was, even when it was Austin Sims this year, there were easier reads for these quarterbacks to make. And then Chambliss steps in and you see the actual talent to pair with that. I just don't have any concerns when it's Kiffin and when it's Wise of the quarterback position and the passing game. Like, to me, and I've talked about it before, they're on the same page in terms of the fundamental, like the heart of their offense is always going to be the run game. And they're going to run the ball 55 to 60% of the time because that's what they do, especially if they have a good running back. But what makes them explosive is the passing attack and the simplified reads and everything like that. So that's what I'm really excited to see from that pairing.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head when you talk about just like solidifying the quarterback in the passing game. And even to the extent like that opens up the run game, right? I mean, it's just one of those things where it just solidifies so much that bringing his guys in who know what he wants to do, it does turn the table to what do you do defensively, right? Because let's just be real. John Sumrall is headed to Gainesville. Blake Baker is going to be one of the, if not the top candidate, to take the Tulane head coaching job. Look, Brune, I always say this, man, because I think people sometimes need to realize, like, if you get a promotion somewhere, that's hats off to you. I know you had to swallow that pill a week and a half ago when your guy Eric Morris got the promotion to Oklahoma State. If Blake Baker gets a promotion and is a head coach at Tulane next year, look, that's awesome for him. But if you can keep him, it's interesting to me, like, how you do that, because P. Golding is now the head coach at Ole Miss. He's not bringing him with him. So how important, in your opinion, is it to keep Blake Baker in the fold here with, obviously, the big thing, Corey Raymond? I mean, look, man, Brune, I talked to DJ Pickett on Tuesday. You could tell that through that interview that Corey Raymond is very important to him.
Yes.
And when asked about his future, he was like, we'll just see, essentially. We'll see. Like, you could tell he's going to go where Corey Raymond is. Like, that's just the really strong indication I got from talking to him.
Yeah, that's a whole nother, priority. But I think Blake Baker, especially with Golding not coming anymore, I think that's the number one priority. Like, Charlie Weiss, yeah, cool, but ultimately, like, I would have been fine with a lot of OCs and quarterbacks coaches under Lane. Blake Baker is more important to me. LSU, he's already the highest paid defensive coordinator in the country. I'm not sure how much Tulane can offer that more than that. You can look it up, or if you know off top, like in terms of what Blake, I think Blake was making what, $2?
It was reported that Tulane tried to offer Sumrall $4 million per year, which is like that's a lot for a group of 5 head coach.
Yeah, that is a lot.
So
if they offer him 4, I don't think LSU is going up to 4 for a coordinator, no matter who it is.
No.
I think it was at 2 this year, 2.2 maybe some. But regardless, that's going to be the top priority. That's what you're trying to do. And if ultimately, I wouldn't blame him if he went to Tulane. I think Tulane has the resources to win the American every single year. And I think you can go there and immediately just like Sumrall did, right? You win for 2 years, boom, you're a head coach at fill in the blank. So I wouldn't blame him. But if there's any way you can keep him, that is what you're putting all of your eggs into. If you're Kiffin, if you're the staff, if you're the university. So that's my number one. If he leaves, we'll do a defensive coordinator hot board. Your boy Durkin will be thrown in the mix, I'm sure. There's a few names out there, but like that is top priority to me. And then Corey Raymond, the Corey Raymond aspect is obviously huge. It's similar to Frank, except I think personally, and this is hard to really, really judge, but like just in my head, Corey Raymond is a better like coach, and that might sound like, I don't know, blunt, but like I look at him as a kind of more developer and type guy, and someone in that respect. Frank is obviously a tremendous recruiter and absolutely pivotal to this staff, and I want both on the staff. But Corey Raymond is very, very, very important to this team in this secondary.
Hal says this: 2.5 years what Baker is making. He's actually tied for second with Wink Martindale. Jim Knowles, $3.1 million.
Oh, I forgot about Knowles. What's Patricia making over at Ohio State? That's what I need to see.
So that's crazy. No, it's one of those things, Brune, where we kind of sit there. No, he's at Penn State, by the way. Knowles is at Penn State this year.
No, yeah, sorry. I said Patricia. I said I wonder what Patricia's making.
Oh, Patricia. State. Oh, my bad. Yeah. So, look, you talk about the defensive staff and what you want to be able to keep. Corey Raymond's a must. Like, he just is. You hit the nail on the head when you said this. He's a developer of talent. And the list is just so long. Every single recruit I talked to, look, I talked with Haven Finney, then this afternoon. I mean, that's important. He's like, I mean, without giving too much away, they were like, that family was like, yeah, so we want to know, like, bullet point, what's Corey Raymond's future? I mean, that speaks volumes. So
Yeah.
when you pair a guy that knows how to develop along with the weight that he holds as a recruiter, it's a no-brainer to keep a guy like that. I think Blake Baker's got to be the DC, right? And you rock and roll with this thing, and you continue to invest in the program. You continue to invest in NIL-wise.
If Blake's the DC and if Lane and Weiss are the OCs, I mean, whew. That's nasty.
I mean, it's essentially a dream staff. Like,
yeah, that's exactly what you're dreaming of. And you know who else is on the dream staff?
Who's that?
On the defensive line? Big O, Ed Orgeron.
Listen, you want to talk about it?
Like, no, he. What percentage chance do you think it is that he's on staff? Like, we're just guessing.
Defensive line coach? Or
yes. Defensive line coach, hypothetically.
I feel like I'm about to lowball the crap out of this.
50?
I would say 60, 65.
Okay, yeah. Like, Lane and him are obviously, for those who don't know, close.
I mean, are you going higher? You going
like
80?
No. I was going to say 50 to 55, 60 in that range. I think Ed is going to push for it. I think Ed is. I mean, do y'all remember those interviews that he did when Brian Kelly got fired and he was like, "I'll do anything. I'll do anything to go be at LSU." Like, obviously he was talking about the head coach, but then he was also saying that he would be a defensive line coach wherever, at a big school. I think he's going to want it. I think Lane's going to let him do it. Now, I just said 50-50, so who knows? And I don't know anything, but that's
50-50, and then you said, I think he's going to let him do it. So
that way I can cover my bases, Bryce. If he does do it, I can clip it and say, I was right. If he doesn't, I said it was 50-50 all along. It's just, you got to play the game. You got to play the game. He's coughing.
Get us done with that Brunt workwear real quick.
We don't have a clip for it? Brunt workwear. We don't have an ad read for it, but Brunt, we need Shay. We need to call up Shay, just FaceTime him to bring the boots on the podcast because that guy uses those boots. I'm sure he's putting up Christmas decorations. I'm sure he's out doing yard work constantly. That guy, Shay, he is working tirelessly to get information on LSU's staff under Lane Kiffin. And I'm sure he's wearing those Brunt work footwear while doing so. So yeah, check them out. Use code Bengal Tiger for $10 off the order. Let us know if you use the code and you buy from them. Obviously, the most durable shoes, the most durable. I mean, just look at them on the screen here, Bryce. What would you use these for?
Look, I'm using those if I'm throwing bales of hay, into the back of the truck. Listen, whether you got to milk the cow, whether you've got to plant the crops. I mean, you can just tell we do a lot of that stuff. And so we always wear Brunt workwear. No, seriously, it's a great product. It's comfortable. The best part about it, Brune, is the fact that you don't even have to wear it to break them in. They come broken in. It is a great product. Fits true to size. Make sure you check them out. They have more than just shoes. The shoes you're seeing right here on your screen, they're fantastic, but they've got shirts. They've got all types of outerwear that you can be able to do there and continue to support the show, support Bengal Tiger, support On 3, and support our friends over at Brunt Workwear. All right, before we get out of here, what's next? Hey, Lane Kiffin already met with Lamar Brown. Don't know if you saw the picture. So recruiting, early signing day. We're going to try to put together some type of show, Brune.
Gosh, that's on Wednesday.
On Wednesday, recapping the day that is. Watch out for some flip candidates, some decommitments already.
It just got way more interesting.
Buddy, Corey Barber at Ole Miss, out of Clay Chalkville High School in Pinson, Alabama. Really good football player, decommitted from Ole Miss. Keep an eye on that one. Ole Miss wide receiver from Lafayette, Louisiana. Keep an eye on that one. A lot of flip candidates, and I think it's going to make something interesting too, Brune, where holy cow, dude. We're starting to talk about, and it's what we said last week, man. If you get Kiffin here, people are going to want to come play for him. And not just the high school ranks, but now you have a whole month for Lane Kiffin to start working and identifying what he needs in this portal. And what I love about it too, man, he can watch every single bowl practice. So now he gets essentially those 10 to 15 bowl practices or whatever it is to evaluate this roster. He's played against them. He's scouted them already. to say, okay, where do we really need to go look? And obviously, too, we know bowl practices are a chance for younger guys to get reps. He can look at that too and really see what they need to go get.
Yeah, they have a month here before the portal opens on, I believe it's January 2nd or 3rd, one of the two. I think the main thing when you look at this team and you look at what the team could be next year, the first name that comes to mind, and I'm gonna have a story on this at some point this week, maybe tomorrow, in terms of players I want him to bring with him. The biggest question, which now we have to talk about here, is Trinidad Chambliss's waiver that has been submitted that they're pushing for.
Can we ask about that tomorrow? I don't even know how now.
Yeah, I don't see why not. I mean, I watched the press conference a week ago, 2 weeks ago. I don't remember which one it was.
Well, but asking, can you ask about another player's waiver now that he's LSU's coach? Is that like is he not allowed to talk about that now?
That's a good question.
That you see what I'm saying? Like
that's a Bonnet question right there. I don't know. Yeah, shoot him a text. But again, that's where my attention immediately turned, because you get Trinidad Chambliss for another year over here. You're set at the quarterback position immediately. Like, you don't even have to go. I made a damn portal list of, 10 possible portal quarterbacks that, they could all be good and stuff, but you have a guy who knows what your offense you're running. You can fit in perfectly, can run, can throw, like everything.
Yeah.
That immediately alleviates that. And immediately sets a floor for this offense. So that's where my attention immediately turns when we go to December is, all right, Chambliss, how long do we have to wait to see if this waiver thing gets done? Yeah. And he has to know quickly, because if not, he's going to the NFL draft. So that's the first one. I think from LSU side of things, he's immediately going to go look in the portal for offensive linemen. And that's where I think we talk about the money that's going to be spent on this roster. A lot of it's going to be on the offensive line. I don't want to put a percentage on it or nothing, but if you get Chambliss over here, the rest of it has to go to the offensive line. Like, good Lord, just go build an offensive line. We can figure out the running back spots. We can figure out the receivers. It'd be great if you had, obviously, a Malik Neighbors or a Trey Harris or something on the perimeter, but we saw this year, like, they make it work regardless. I wouldn't say they have an elite receiving core this year. So we'll talk about these other guys that they could bring, but it is Chambliss and it is an offensive line, and then we'll see what the defense looks like who the coach is.
Can I add one more?
Yeah, go ahead.
He's a real estate major in Oxford. Not that you care. Keywan Lacey.
I love Keywan Lacey.
You talk about
love Keywan Lacey.
Room.
Yes.
Holy cow.
Love Keywan Lacey.
Winston Watkins. Like, we're starting to get into. I mean, you have to talk about it. I know people say that's not fair, but that's the business we're in now. So you got to look on that roster. You got to look at some of. I mean, man, you've got some recruits over there on that recruiting class. Like, Brune, the first thing I did when we were finally able to publish that this was official, go down that 2026 commit list. Who would they want to look at?
Yep.
So.
Yeah, this is going to be a very interesting month of December. Obviously, LSU players will portal out. The portal.
We missed this, by the way, today. Kylan Billiot hit the portal.
Yeah, he did.
So, don't be rude.
No, he was. I liked him
out of high school, man.
I liked him out of high school, but at the same time, I thought there were limitations to a degree. But I was always curious, and in general, they just haven't had the wide receiver development over the past 2-3 years that you need. We can go down the list of the past 3 classes of receivers and just how many of them have panned out. Over the past 3 classes, is the best receiver at LSU Kyle Parker? Everyone think on that for a second. And that's not a shot at Kyle Parker. Kyle Parker, I think, is a good player.
To the mailbag pod tomorrow.
But again, that speaks to where we're at in terms of the receiver room and the receiver depth. So anyways, I say all that to say, get Chambliss, get an offensive line, keep Carius Kern, and go from there.
Let's roll, baby.
Let's do it. I see it in your eyes.
I'm dying.
You're ready. You're ready to go.
I am. I'm about to take some NyQuil, go to sleep, and get ready. Press conference tomorrow. Don't know.
Yeah, that's all you. That's all you. I'm sleeping through tomorrow. I did.
You worked your tail off. I'm getting first question tomorrow.
Yeah, there you go. You got it ready? What you're asking?
Quote some song lyrics and see what he does.
Do you know what you're asking?
I've thought about it. I might auction it off. I've thought about auctioning the question off to our board.
That's a way to start.
I mean, I really am. The two things I want to know. I'd love to know maybe more in depth about his conversations with Nick Saban and Pete Carroll.
Yeah,
like what were some of the things that you asked them? What in that conversation? I think that's an interesting piece. And then just maybe to if he's willing to just kind of elaborate on his emotions over the past 24 hours. And the third part is, Lane, now that we can say this, essentially, like, your family came down here, talk about the importance of them being comfortable, because that was something that is obvious was a big factor in this whole thing.
It's a secondary question, but I like it. I like.
There's going to be 5,000 media members there tomorrow, so
get your hand up. Get your hand up early. Get your hand up early. Yes, use the connections you have in that media, in the athletic department. Get that question in there.
All the sources.
Don't let them overlook you.
So, any final thoughts? We did ban someone over the weekend. Thoughts on that? Nothing?
We did. No, I have no thoughts.
Okay, well.
He's already back.
We appreciate it.
Regardless. Yes, thank you all.
Matthew Brune, my name is Bryce Koon. Make sure you like, subscribe on all those platforms. Shout out to our sponsors as well. Oklahoma fan in the chat, just letting LSU fans have it. Awesome. Good for you, dude. I don't know why you're here, but we appreciate it. Nearly 3,000 people watching live. Hats off, claps to the chat. We'll catch you tomorrow, obviously, on the message boards. Make sure you lock it in. Mailbag pod tomorrow, maybe a recap of what Lane said. Could be, some interesting stuff. I don't know, man.
Maybe have Lane on the pod.
Why not? I'm just going to go up there and start interviewing himself one-on-one and just see what happens during the press conference.
Someone's going to tackle you.
So, yeah, it was just Cody is mad in the chat. Just angry. He's angry. It's okay.
4 in a row?
4 in a row.
He's going.
Ooh. There you go. Sound like my daughter when she mimics Mike the Tiger, just growling into the chat.
Oh, my God.
The audio listeners are like, what the heck is going on?
I don't even want to end this, so that way they could just keep going in here.
Yeah, he can't even spell. I mean, that's what's the crazy
part. Oh, yeah, he spelled that wrong.
That's insane. It's okay.
Lord.
It's going to be all right. We appreciate you watching. Thanks so much. A little ASMR from Brune. We appreciate it. We'll catch you next time here on the Bengal Tiger podcast. First one ever with Lane Kiffin as the head coach. Thanks so much. We will see you next time.